and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your conducive, supportive hosts. Joining me as always is our other conducive and supportive host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
I think supportive. I'm here to support you, buddy. I'm good. I'm good.
Me too.
I'm good. Support me, actually. I need it because tomorrow's election day.
It's true. And I think two for two in the past 2 weeks in terms of both our adjective words have been really accurate.
Extremely. Yeah, the crack is, I don't want to get too far into it, but by the time everyone hears this and we put it up, we'll know who the president will be. But I feel like, I don't know, it feels the air is heavy with tension and, fear. And I don't know if that translates across the ocean at all.
It very much does. Okay.
So.
I would say president and or God Emperor, there's a possibility. So let's see where we're at in a couple of weeks.
I know.
But yeah, it's a terrifying and insane time to be alive, honestly. Yeah. And I think the world's gonna breathe a sigh of relief when it's all over with, because it has been such an international story, really, know. And I think US elections have become elections for the world for quite a few years, for like a long time now, I think, so it's interesting. But the English World Cup season in this country, everybody will be glad when it's over.
That's kind of how I feel a little bit of that. And I have we don't have cable. It's people like, I don't have cable, but I have Hulu and I have Apple and I have Disney. I have all the channels that I pay for individually, like an idiot. But we don't have cable. So I guess part of what's happening is there's a political ad every other commercial. And so people are just sick of it, the rhetoric, and, it's not nice on either side. And I think just that, on your television all the time is probably hard.
I think,
but because I don't have cable, I don't watch TV. It's not true at all, but
I'm kind of the same, but it is everywhere. Even I do check some news sites occasionally, and it's all, most of what the news is. Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's other things happening in the world, but that's what it's mostly all about.
Yeah.
So
but even it's hitting.
Nearly over.
It's hitting I told you this off pod, but I have a 10-year-old, and she's I'm nervous about tomorrow. And I don't remember ever even knowing who was running for president at 10.
Nope.
So.
Not at all. No, I know.
Yes. So that's the crack.
So all that fun to look forward to. Okay, so I've got a couple of different things.
What do you got?
First thing, and I meant to, this is a kind of old news, but I forgot to tell you about it last time, which was that I went to see the movie Smile 2.
What is that? Is it a horror movie?
The first movie, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So Smile came out, I think, very recently, maybe only a couple of years ago, and the sequel that came in wasn't turned around.
Who stars in? Is it Ethan Hawke?
No, that's...
Is it Nobody?
Black Phone, I think. Okay. Yeah, which I haven't seen. I've heard it's good too. But Smile is essentially it's a really kind of simple premise. Basically, people get infected by this demon. How this demon infects you is that you see it infects the host. That host is driven nuts over 7 days, and then they brutally kill themselves in front of somebody else, and it's the trauma of that allows them to leap into that person's body. So the first one was that concept, pretty stripped down. The second one is about a starlet, a Britney Spears, Chapel Roan kind of style starlet who gets infected with this sort of thing, and it's how it affects her. And it has been a while since I've been do I need to leave the theater? I'm feeling such tension here. I was my heart was racing. There were multiple really effective jump scares, I thought, but I really loved it. I thought it was really, like, I liked the first movie. I thought the first movie was good, but the second movie was great.
Okay.
I thought
So you like the second
really
better
fun.
than the first?
And it does. And one of the things, I read a review afterwards, and they were talking about what the problem with a lot of sequels is they try to like expand the lore, and this really doesn't. It's already set out the rules in the first film. It just kind of ups the stakes a little bit, and I think that is, and just does more fun things with it. But yeah, very, very good, I thought. I also saw The Apprentice talking about
How was that?
Blake. First hour or so was kind of quite entertaining, but then it kind of like, I found the second half to be tough going. I still think it was an interesting movie overall, and I'm glad I saw it, but it was a pretty amorphous because of the nature of it, and it didn't have like a definite ending, the story that it was going to tell. It had a bit issues near the end, but still, I thought the two like lead actors were absolutely fantastic.
Sebastian Stan and who's the other actor?
The guy from Succession. I've forgotten his name now.
I know who.
Jeremy Strong.
Yeah.
Jeremy Strong. I'm pretty certain.
Okay. Someone correct us.
It is Jeremy Strong. Okay. No, it is Jeremy Strong. But yeah, they were both excellent. So that was great. So yeah, so the other thing is, I went to and I'm gonna get it right this year. Look at me go! I went to a Sawayan yoga festival thing. Festivals maybe per word ceremony yesterday. So a friend of mine, she goes to a teacher in Belfast who is really very in touch with the Celtic side of her person. She's really connected with the land. She's really connected with Gaelic. She also went to the Bealtaine festival that I was at this year. So she often does these kind of ceremonies. And this was very much we went in, they'd set up an altar, with lots of like leaves and like things of nature and stuff like that. There was also like a representation of the Celtic wheel, describing the seasons of when summer and kind of winter comes, and the significance of various times in that in those places. And then we just kind of did like a kind of breathing exercise, meditation, a sort of yin practice, and then a bit of like semantic touching and things like that. I think that's the word, semantic. I can't remember. Semantic's verbal, but I think it's still, anyway, not important. Touching, tapping, right? Tapping at various points of the body to build sensation, essentially, and it was really lovely. It was just a nice, because it was like the sort of mantra for the class was kind of embracing the wisdom of the darkness in autumn, essentially, as a way to kind of like ease yourself into the kind of dark months, which are tough for a lot of people. So yeah, I really loved it. Awesome. There was also Yoga Nidra at the end, which is a kind of a meditation, kind of a visualization sort of meditation. But yeah, it was really nice.
I love honoring that time, and like we honor it by running around asking people for candy.
Yeah.
Right. But just to really be like, all right, here we go again. We're going, we're going down, we're going under. We need to plant the seeds and,
Yeah.
I've been like trying to find, and I'll talk about this a little bit later when we talk about joy, but just like I've been looking for pictures that kind of make me happy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are posting photos of like ladybugs that are kind of like curling in for the long winter. So like, don't do all your pruning right now, because all of the bees are trying to find a place to, to sleep, and the ladybugs and all the, the insects. And so it's like all these photos of like little ladybugs like curled under leaves trying to snooze. Sorry.
I love it. It's awesome. Yeah, so it's cool. So it was very nice to do, and it is a time of the year that I have found difficult in the past.
Hell yeah.
So it was Right? So say we all. Well, so say a lot of people. So it was a nice thing to do, and it was a good way to, I guess, recontextualize how that this time of year.
And you
so
had daylight savings. So what time is the sunset for you right now?
It's about between 5 and 6, so it's pretty early right now. So like that was what was great about it, because like the way she had timed it was we started in daylight and it was in darkness by the time we finished. Yeah. So it was very well put together.
Yeah. That's awesome. I remember leaving work, because I think where I used to live, it was kind of similar area on the equator to you, and I would like leave work. I would get to work and it would be dark, and I would leave work and it would be dark.
Yeah. Yes, that is rough going. I find truly. I do not miss that. I must say, I that is one of the things. Although I'm too busy, I do get to be out during the day a decent chunk, and it's pretty fantastic. That's my reality. But yeah, that's all I have for what's crack this week. Do you have any what's occurring for us?
I don't, but can we talk about your what was it? Scare jump? Jump scare?
Tell me more.
What'd you say?
Jump scares in.
What's a jump
scare?
What's a jump scare?
So a jump scare is a scare that literally makes you go whoa, like really takes you by surprise and makes you like where you jump okay. You literally move, your body moves in reaction to a thing that happens. So that is something. I'm absolutely a scaredy cat, but like I don't think scary movies make me jump scare that often. But like this had some really effective ones. I thought it was very good.
Okay, thank you for
clarifying.
Yeah, because I saw it, that phrase. I don't know. Last week I was reading something, but it was like I think it was actually someone that shaved their beard off. And
oh no,
I know, right? And someone was like jump scare, and I was like, what is that? But I didn't have.
I've seen like videos of
babies
reacting to their dads whenever they've shaved their beards off, and they're just like always crying. And it's like it's the sensible reaction, kids. You got it. You got the right idea. But yeah. So I do have a what's occurring. I don't know if this is the right place for it, but you can let me know.
All right.
So. This is Twin Peaks characters I have a crush on in no particular order. Does this feel like an appropriate place for this, Beth?
This is exactly where this needs to go.
Okay, perfect. All right, okay. So, number 1, Audrey. Number 2, Agent Dale Cooper of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I like to give him his full title.
Yeah. He earned it.
Donna.
Donna?
Yes, he did earn it. He absolutely. Donna, Harry, and Shelley.
Okay.
And that this list's open-ended. I may develop crushes on people as the show goes on. Maybe some of those crushes will disappear, but for now, there's the firm 5 crushes on Twin Peaks characters. That felt like important information
to share with the world, the entire world.
Yeah. So
for those who are listening, also like Andy's wearing his poncho that he got in Mexico, which is kind of like brown but also like neon colored.
Yeah, it is kind of like Twin Peaks vibes.
It kind of is. Yeah, it's all coming together. I see, Andy.
It is. So yeah. Folks at home, tell me what.
Who's that? Who's that holding the log? Oh, that's Log Lady.
So good. And it still delivers and things like that. Like, I was talking to my friend about it recently, where I'm like, sometimes I have really enjoyed it thoroughly overall, but I love that there's a whole murder drama, and then there's like a subplot where like a restaurant critic's coming to town, and they have to make the diner look all fancy for the restaurant critic. I'm like, Twin Peaks, you rock. But yeah, so
it only took you like 25 years.
I know. Well, as we know from Andy's Down with the Streets, that is the perfect Andy window whenever everything's deeply unfashionable. Yes, if you have any crushes on Twin Peaks characters at home, please let us know. And hey, those crushes can be 25 years old. That's okay. I want to know them.
It's true. It's true.
So, thank you. But yeah, so I think it's time to move on to our topic at hand, which this week is titled "Help Yourself to Self-Help," and it's just about self-help generally, the concept of it, and both of our experiences with it. Yeah, I think it's absolutely a interesting topic, a topic that I have very mixed feelings on, I think. But yeah, it's definitely worthy of discussion.
Did you know, fact, it's an $11 billion industry?
That's fucking crazy.
I know, right?
And like, that is part of my problem with it. It's because, my thesis, and it's not like a new or particularly revelatory thesis, is that capitalism ruins everything, and like self-help is such a bastion for fucking monsters and grifters. It's just a concern for me, and it really makes me skeptical. And I definitely have read books that I think I would describe as self-help that had value for me, but I am very skeptical about them.
So I think maybe defining like what self-help is for you, would be helpful.
Okay, so I guess it is a way for somebody to actualize something within themselves. I guess for me, it's interesting because I'll keep going. So like, I self-actualize something within themselves, and that can be both in terms of realizing your own potential, or helping you past various blocks that are stopping you maybe creatively or in business, or even just with your mental health. As I was thinking about this, I was thinking about like some books on writing that I've read, and one that I've recommended to Beth, and I'm like, I guess it does kind of qualify as a self-help book, because it's kind of reframing that. The book in particular that I'm thinking of is kind of helped me reframe how I thought about story structure, how I thought about writing. So like, it was very useful in helping me kind of break out of maybe certain bad habits or certain sort of writing sort of ghettos that I was getting myself into.
I think like, as I started going deeper into this subject, I think self-help is a lot bigger of a genre than most people. Like, when you're thinking about it, I think it's bigger. I think biographies are self-help.
Yeah.
Having listened to Jessica Simpson's open book twice, her biography is really, it's so well written. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm not a fan of like her music necessarily, and I'm super proud of her for like creating $1 billion clothing empire. But the stories that she tells, the level of honesty, that is self-help. I think like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz, those qualify. But at the same time, so do all of these other books and genres. And, I think a lot of the self-help industry is largely made up of women. And I think that we're not necessarily targeted, but a lot of books are made because that is a genre of book that a lot of women pick up. And so like, to the point where you go to a bookstore and there's a self-help section, and it's like the book titles are, I'm not going to, rat out any of these books, but it's all about like, how to get over your boyfriend, how to get over your partner, how to move on, how to, I will say a lot of the book titles kind of like, I don't want to say triggered, but kind of pissed me off. that
Yes,
I
100%.
was reading. I was just like, this is like, all this does is make me feel bad about myself right now. And like, do I have all these problems that need to be fixed? And like, what does that mean about me? Right?
There's so much of them that's just about targeting people's vulnerabilities and things like that. It's really fucked up. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, and also, like, there's no qualifications that are needed to write a self-help book.
Yes.
So that's, I think, the thing that is most, like, there's positives and negatives to this topic, but the one thing that was most concerning to me is that anyone can write a self-help book.
Yes.
Without any qualifications.
It's like, and just to close out, because you were saying like a lot of them are written for women and by women. It's just because, fortunately men are born complete and whole,
right,
with no we laugh through the tears. Yeah, but it is so interesting that, and like but it then, and I think it has happened in recent years that it's become more acceptable for guys to have self-help books, but I would say they do not think about those books as self-help books. Like, the person who really kind of exemplifies that to my mind over recent years has been like Jordan Peterson, who he like based, and I know that they don't describe his books as self-help books, but he created self-help books for guys, in terms of like helping them turn their lives around. I think it was called 7 Simple Rules or something like that, or 12 Simple Rules. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But he like was taking advantage of the fact that a lot of guys feel directionless, and that the world is changing in a way that they don't like, because obviously, the center of power has correctly shifted away from men over the past few years, and a lot of guys are really kind of struggling with that, because if they don't have that, they don't have much else quite often. And I think he has really kind of exploited that. I was going to say mixed feelings about it, but negative feelings, I think, about this guy overall, in terms of like the messaging he puts out and what he has then used, the platform he gained from this, to kind of the message that he's spreading with that, so like it seems like it can slide over into those like, cult sort of messianic figures quite easily, and it's such a dangerous thing, especially, as you say, no qualifications are needed to write these things.
No. And like, does Tony Robbins have a degree in psychology?
I don't know.
Look in your mind garden, because that's a whole, like, I watched a documentary on, I didn't really know anything about him other than, he would have these, I knew that like tickets for his seminars were like, they're in the thousands.
Yeah.
And granted, like, you and I paid thousands to go to Costa Rica and have wet towels and learn about yoga, and
sure.
That was in the name of, some sort of self-help or change that we needed in our lives. But I feel like we got more from that than I would have gotten from having Tony Robbins make me cry.
Yes, 100%.
So
yeah, he doesn't seem to, based on my very kind of quick mind garden checks, have any qualifications, but like, I like, this is the thing, it's like so much of that kind of industry is because looking at his, and I know that other authors do the same thing, it's like how to become a millionaire, how to like blah blah blah, how to invest smartly, and it's like how you become a billionaire is you sell books, or a millionaire, you sell books about telling people how to become a millionaire. Yeah. Because people want those like quick hacks, and they think they're going to find them within these things, and they don't. I mean, that's not the way the world works, really.
Unless you're selling leather jackets to and from South Korea.
What exactly?
Sorry.
And you can start your own film empire.
We're talking about our friend Tommy Wiseau.
We are. But like, so much of like, wealth is, either based around inherited stuff, and sheer fucking dumb luck.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like so many.
Absolutely agree with that.
You know,
and some of it too. Like I have had friends who are healers who have wanted to write a book, but it's hard to find and have good things to say. And I'm always like, go for it, because someone out there, and this is the other side of it, is, you know, someone out there may only be able to hear the message that they need to hear from you.
Agreed.
And I think, you know, a positive part of self-help, I will say books and podcasts specifically, is that it's a very inexpensive form of therapy if you're willing to do the work.
Yep.
And you can go to your library and check out books for free. Podcasts, you know, you can usually get for free. We don't charge for ours.
That's right.
So, like, not that we're helping you or anyone, but hopefully we are. But I think, you know, for people that you know, they're if you're willing to do a little bit of digging, you know, and you need a little bit of structure to help you get there, I do think that there are positives that you can take from it. I think, you know, where it gets dangerous is that, like, this type of self-help, this world can get a little, like, addictive.
Yes. And also the money I think some of these people make from this thing. And, like, again, I am going to come back, and I'm sure I'm going to get some grief about this, because people who love him, but, like, you know, this guy Jordan Peterson, who wrote this book, fine, but then, you know, use this platform to talk about how climate change isn't real, and it's like, bro,
what does it have to do with
that? Yeah, why, you know, it's just, but I think he has generated a fan base where people think he is, you know, some sort of intellectual wonderkind, and people just want to hear his opinions and stuff, sadly, you know, and he will keep getting money for doing that, so why would he stop, really, you know? But it's kind of upsetting to me.
And part of it too, it's like, it's kind of like you can see that, not him necessarily, but the trajectory, right? Yeah. Like, write book, check. Get famous, check. Get money, check. Get power, check. Then start abusing people that you're trying to help, check. Then get sued, check. Then, you know, pay a bunch of money for settlements outside of court, check, right? Like, these are Tony Robbins. It's one of those people.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't, you know, but, like, it's so much of that. And, I mean, it is just, like, I mean, I think that we have, like, and I know we've talked about this before, we have such a rich history of, like, our culture of grifters in both of our cultures, you know? Yeah. And it sucks. It fucking sucks. Like, and it's capitalism, and it's, like, you know, the drive for money that allows these things to happen, because there is... It can be really financially rewarding, like scamming people out of money or telling people what they want to hear in order for them to give you money, you know. And there's no law against that, you know. You can just do it. I was listening to a radio, some sort of roundtable news panel thing. I just caught a bit of it, and they were talking about Boris Johnson, who was one of our old prime ministers.
Love his hair.
That is his thing. Like, he was always like, look at what a clumsy buffoon I am. But he was actually a fucking arsehole, like, and, you know, really corrupt. And he was, like, you know, completely full of shit. And they were talking about his book. His book came out, and it was like predictably it was a load of old shit. And they were talking about, well, you know, he was a grifter, but it's fine. Everybody is, you know. It's fine to be a grifter. It's, you know, it is what happens, and it really broke my heart hearing somebody say it's fine to be a grifter. I think it's a damning indictment of our culture that somebody's like, yeah, you know what, somebody's a grifter, so what? But, like, you know, the very
and also
nature of grifting is fucking somebody else over. Mm-hmm. You know? Yes, he's a prime minister. He was a prime minister, I know, and he, like, guided us through COVID poorly, you know. Yeah, a very dodgy individual, and still beloved by a lot of people, you know.
So I have a controversial one.
Go for it.
Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart. Yes.
So I just watched her documentary, and she said something, and obviously, like, Martha Stewart went to prison for 5 months for
oh yeah, I forgot about
for insider trading. I didn't know that she was a stockbroker before she started her, like, catering business, and that's how, like, her catering business was what kind of put her on the map. Someone was like, you should, like, this party's so amazing, you should write a book about, putting on a party. And that's how she wrote Martha Stewart's Entertaining, which, like, my mom has a copy of that, but, like, all the moms, she made it okay to, like, she made it okay for women whose mothers were part of sort of the movement to go to work and have a latchkey kid, basically. Like, they weren't canning things. It was all, like, all the commercials were like, here's how you put cream of mushroom soup on something and make dinner in 5 minutes. Yeah. And she was like, no, like, eat fresh food, grow your own food, have a garden. But she said, learn one new thing every day. And so I started following her and someone else was like, you need to be, like, if no one is doing anything, like, just follow her on Instagram. And I started following her on Instagram, and it's all just, like, random things, like how to clean your washer to get cleaner clothes. And I'm like, I didn't even know I needed to do that. Yeah. Right. But, like, I think that she is self-help.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's positive or negative, I guess. Because she does all the things, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a garden. I can't garden. I can barely keep my plants or my children alive.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, like, it makes
You've
me
seen
think,
my
like,
plants.
Like
it's very sad.
You've seen my plants as well. It's not good. But, like, I suppose the thing, certainly, the example you gave of, like, the washing machine thing, how do you clean the inside of your washing machine? You're like, oh no, God. It's like, it's in some ways like, oh no, a new anxiety has been unlocked. and like, I really struggle with it because, for something like that in particular with a social media account, to keep people engaged, you have to keep producing content. Yeah. So, like, the content that you're putting out there, not every single thing is going to be useful or a gem. No. It's just not with the amount of, like, stuff that you need to put up there to keep people engaged in this day and age. So, like, it becomes a part where you've probably got a team of people working on, like, ideas.
She's got an entire, like, media empire.
Yeah. So, like, I am, I say I'm just so skeptical about all of it, but it's, taking it back to what you were saying about a friend of yours who, if they write something, their message may be the only thing that really kind of cuts through to somebody else. And I so agree with that. But, for all the people who are writing something honestly and open about that, there is, like, probably 5 to 10 others who are just going, how do I cash in out of this situation? And it's how people separate the wheat from the chaff in that regard and find this thing that actually is meaningful, does help, it's a tough old market.
So do you, like, would you prefer self-help or would you prefer therapy? Like, you're like, I got this problem in this area. Here's a book about it. Or I could talk to a therapist.
I think I'd probably prefer therapy. I think I find talking things out useful because, like, part of the issue I have is that, keeping things inside my own head is not always useful necessarily. And I don't know that reading stuff, I mean, it'll maybe change the shape of it a little bit, but I don't think it will get me out of my head. Whereas I find, in terms of problems and things that I'm maybe overthinking, talking about it, bouncing those things off somebody else is by far the most effective thing for me. So probably therapy.
This is, like, the laziest answer ever, But like a book takes so long to read, and therapy's an
Yes.
hour.
So true.
Or 45 minutes if you're my therapist. And like, you know, like it's just, and I'm like, you know this about me, I'm a verbal processor. So it's like there are things that I won't even know I'm thinking about or haven't thought about, but if I'm talking about it, then all of a sudden something will come out of my mouth and I'll be like, oh my God, you know, like I'm making a connection here. Like that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I should do that. And like, yeah, I'm similar to you where I've got to get out of my own head and speak it in order for me to like really feel it. And
Yes.
by speaking it too, it's almost like a contract I have like stepped into. Like if there's like an action item, like, oh wow, I'm making this connection, therefore I need to change this or like do this. And if I speak it, then it like becomes real or true and more like
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, like it's something that I have, you know, because like I struggle with, you know, people have talked about me like writing intentions down or doing things like writing the things that I'm grateful for each day and things like that as suggestions. I think it doesn't work for me super well. Like I never question those things. I'm tremendously grateful for all the kind of like good stuff I have in my life, but it makes it more bewildering to me when I have really kind of negative, I get into really negative spaces. It's like, well, what?
Yeah, but I have all this to be grateful for. Why am I feeling this way?
I don't like, I mean, I can like, you know, if people were like, what are you grateful for? I could list so many things, you know what I mean? But like, I still get into that like negative headspace. So it was never a super effective process for me. But you know, I suppose that's what we're saying. It's about trying to find the messaging that's effective for you in that way, and like, and the kind of maybe small changes or the things you can think about that speak to your particular mindset.
And I have read some books that have been recommended by like a therapist or a friend who knows my situation, and been like, oh my God, like I see myself in these pages. And, you know, that's kind of like when you have to do a deeper dive into like a problem or an issue or someone that you're dealing with. I mean, like, this is them. Like it makes it, it's like affirmation that you're not, you know, wrong in your feelings or thoughts. And I think that's helpful to see it on paper, to hear it on, you know, on an audiobook or hear it on a podcast. Because I have been in situations where I'm like, is this really happening? Like, why am I'm feeling this way? Like, am I correct in this or not? And like, oh no, you are. Oh wow, here's an example. And like, this kind of person does exist, and like, this is what they're like, and this is what, you know, feeds them, and, you know, basically get out, girl.
Yeah.
Which sometimes like we need to hear.
Yeah.
And yeah, like sometimes the message, you know, you can only get it from like, it's like people that are like, I don't know, like maybe you should break up with her or whatever, you know, and like you can hear it and hear it and hear it, but like it takes a certain experience or person or whatever to like make you make that call kind of thing.
It's I think a lot about you know, in the immediate aftermath of my last relationship breaking down, and I was in a really bad place, and I remember like doing a lot of therapy after that, and like you know, in retrospect, I spent about 6 months talking to my therapist about how miserable I was about a variety of different things, and like so much of it was based around my work at the time, and like obviously, and it's so funny because like, you know, I think a good therapist can't say to you,
quit your job,
you need to quit your job, but like she knew that that's what I was leading to. It's just I had to get there myself, you know. And I was very grateful once I kind of, and like, but so constructive just having that space to really kind of express that. And like I was so like depleted in those times. Like some of those times I was just like arriving there in complete pieces, but it was yeah, it's why, in my opinion, you cannot force change with people. If you do, it will not last. People have to come to it themselves. I mean, you can nudge people in various directions, and I think that like people have to almost come to you as well for you if there's any chance that you can help them. I think really, obviously surface level stuff you can help people with, but like actual stuff, it needs to be a very certain set of circumstances.
Yeah, and like I think I learned that managing people through work and like knowing what needed to happen and being like, all right, like I'm moving from point A to point B, and everyone else is like, wait a minute, like how did we get there? And I'm like, this is what needs to happen. But it's like you have to kind of carry people through change. I don't know why I'm talking about managing people, but like that's where I was like, oh, like that was the light bulb moment for me where I was like, I can't expect that people are going to move from point A to point B and be there and be like, cool. Yeah. Because they have to go through their own process to get there. And then I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's change in general. And like, and change is hard, and change is constant, and change is like something that we have to get used to, even though it's like the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. Not but one of the hardest things. And like the more you can just be friends with change, as annoying as it is, like the better off you'll be.
And I feel like there's a lot of messaging around like the fear of change, and like it's those that are asking you to change that are the problem, not not you. You're fine just the way you are. And I think there's a certain amount of self-help that's kind of like that too, and I think that which is overall a net negative for us as a species. So it's just navigating that stuff. It's fucking wild.
Sometimes I wonder, like, if these self-help books are more for the author than the reader.
I also think more for the author to get rich, to make money than anything else. Like, I think sometimes, like, because I think it is, to build a brand. If you have a successful self-help book, you can be like doing seminars and talks. You can build a career out of that, and it's hard for me not to be cynical about that.
But I think like at the very beginning, when you're like writing a book about whatever, like I've gone through this hard thing and so can you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I think at the very base of it, it's probably them just trying to like process their shit.
Yeah.
And like the book that I wrote that I'll never publish, like I think that was definitely more for me, even though it was like, I was sick and almost died and didn't, and so can you, kind of thing. Like, it was really hard to write it, and it was really hard to go back through it all. And I was like, I need to do this. And like, in retrospect, no, I didn't write at all. And it was an exercise in, I don't know.
Almost just like, I mean, it can be cathartic in and of itself, just putting that down. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it can like exercise some things.
Yeah. I don't know if it needed to happen at all. I think I was just angry.
Yeah. That's as good a motivator as any.
It is. But it's also like deeply personal, and like, I see the cynical side, and like once it's successful, once you get the ball rolling, then all of the things that you can do. But I do think that a lot of it does come from like pain and trauma.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the impetus where it begins is probably from that place.
No, absolutely. It's so true. And and it's, it's what makes me so kind of like skeptical of the market. I think I keep going back to this point, is that it is just very easy to prey on people's vulnerability in those moments, you know, and you know, like I feel, you know, the original self-help, right, was religion in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And didn't Jesus say?
Yeah.
I know, and
Continues to be.
and like I have known a number of different people in my life who were not religious when they were younger, but when they've went through a pretty kind of traumatic event in their lives, or they've been in a low period, Christianity has been brought into their lives in a variety of ways, and then they have went down that path, you know, and I like, you know, if it helps them, and like I know so many people who have religion in their lives, and I see the value it brings to them, and I'm really happy for them. I truly am, but like it just was never for me. But like I've also seen other people who I'm like, I don't know if this was the right thing for you, but I guess it kind of got you through a tough time. So I don't know, who am I to judge in that regard? You know?
Yeah, and I've had similar experiences with friends, and like, that's a harder question, I think, because it's kind of like whatever gets you through the day, whatever gives you hope and keeps you moving forward. Yep. And like, if there's peace that can be had, especially with religion, because the Bible's free, right?
Yes, it's true.
But joining a church is not.
No, sure isn't.
But like,
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. And I think, well, it depends on the religion, but like sometimes you can hand over 10% of your income.
Yep.
So like, but it's like whatever. Yeah, I guess like I see a lot of harm in religion.
Like, absolutely. And I mean, like, it's just hard to navigate this stuff again. And I think that, like, you know, there's so, and I think so many people go through this in their lives where they look at some aspect of life and they go, well, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. And then that sort of chink in their armor, that sort of, you know, area of their life where they're like, well, why does the world not make sense? It's very easy for somebody to come and fill that gap with some like bullshit, and you know, so like it's really hard to determine whether the thing that's kind of filling that sort of gap is bullshit or whether it's actually something that kind of gives you a bit of value and maybe, you know, kind of allows you to, you know, hold that concept of like two truths existing at once, that concept of dissonance that like is so I don't know, such a key understanding for me in my life when I was like, oh, all the stuff that I thought was a certain way, it's not really, but that's kind of okay. You know, I can find some truth there. You know, I can find some like, you know, touchstones to hold on to. I think that makes life more interesting to me in the long run, but it's also very scary, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was a ramble, but it was mostly made sense, right?
No, I mean, we're kind of like, we're talking about a big topic, but like we're making it personal, and that's what's interesting about this. And like when my dad died, at that point I didn't believe in anything. I just thought, when you die, and that's it. And I had no peace. And I was so jealous of people who were like, oh, he's in a better place. He's moved on to, like, he's in heaven with his, you know, cousins and all the other people that we've lost. And I'm like, God, that must be so comforting and so nice. Yeah. That he didn't just like go away forever and that like nothing exists of him anymore ever. Yeah. You know, like it's really, I'm jealous of people that have that. But I'm also just a cynical bitch.
Yep. Like, I mean,
I'm a sad, cynical bitch. Cheers.
I think, like, you know, there's a couple of different ways that you can react to kind of like, you know, the kind of knowledge that like we as humans, as smart as we think we are, only understand a fraction of reality and existence in any of those things. We really know terrifyingly little about any of that, and you can look upon that in fear. It's easy to do, and as I say, I think that can then cause problems. Or you can look on it in kind of wonder, which I think I am increasingly embracing. Like yourself, I never really warmed to religion. It never really kind of made a lot of sense to me. I felt like I could see it offering some people like a moral structure in terms of treating people well. I think that can get mutated, but I think I see the value in that regard. But I feel like for me as a person, I never struggled with that. Like, I mean, maybe it was my upbringing, but like, I was always like taught to kind of treat people right, and I think that has served me well, kind of throughout my life.
I would agree with that.
But like, I. So like I don't think so I can see, I guess I can see the value there for people to have that. But like I don't know where I was going with that sentence. Damn it.
It's okay. So basically, like, to kind of bring it around, no one knows anything.
Yes.
And the older I get, the more I realize I know nothing, and so then everything is possible, right? So I'm not saying that like religion is wrong. I'm saying I really don't know anything, and therefore everything is possible and nothing is possible. And so that's why like self-help books and like self-help is, kind of like gets me like under the ribs the wrong way, because if I don't know anything, then neither do these people that are telling me that I can fix myself by doing what they say to do, because they really don't know either.
Yes, well, absolutely. No, I completely agree with that. And I think you're right. And I'm going to touch on what you said earlier, which is in terms of like, I think there's certain messaging, like if somebody comes at something from a certain angle, it can really help you unlock something within you. But as I say, finding that message is getting increasingly difficult.
Yes.
The other thing, I remember what I was going to say, just to finish the thought from earlier.
Good job.
So like,
no dementia for you.
I know. Right? Okay. Getting there. I mean, one day at a time. Right. So was that like, I say religion never really spoke to me whenever I was younger, but as I've got older, and especially like through yoga and through that sort of, greater connection with my spiritual side, I guess, I have really embraced what that there's so much else out there. I feel like there's so much we don't understand. I feel like there is it's something non-specific that we are all kind of connected to and with and whatever, and I think that's kind of wonderful. And I think like I never thought I would get there with this. I always thought I was going to be highly skeptical and nothing matters, and when we die, like Eve, and but like through odd ways I have just found more connection to that in a way that I never would.
Agreed. And like even you going to the Samhain thing, did I say it right?
Yeah, I think
Gold
so.
Star.
Yeah.
Like that's a step in a direction of like you're stepping into the unknown a little bit.
Yeah.
And also like your heritage a little bit. And who knows what can come from that. And I think it's
exactly.
Yeah. And I think the more we can, and I'm guilty of like not, putting my feet in the grass every day, but like the more we can connect to nature, I feel like that's a good ballast point for like sending us in the right direction.
Yep. I really like
even
that.
when it's dark and rainy.
Exactly. Like I think that to me, Addie's self-help tips, right? You ready?
Yeah.
Everybody get your pen,
your
pencil out.
Yep.
Is
here's my imaginary finger.
Yes, and writing
down. In the sky.
Is something we have talked about before, both of us. Stay curious. Always, always, always stay curious. Like, just learn new things. Don't afraid to look stupid as you're learning new things, because there's so much to discover and you will only ever see a fraction of it in your life. So why not be open to those things?
So Martha Stewart's right. Learn one new thing every day. Damn it.
Martha Stewart. I think like too, don't be afraid to be wrong. Like be prepared to like the thing that you hold dear and has like added like a fullness and structure to your life. Don't be afraid to throw that away if it like evidence comes up that proves that to be completely wrong, because that happens to a lot of people. But yeah, I think like to me that's, you know, and also be kind.
Yeah.
That's a number
Please
one to yourself, to other people.
I think be kind to yourself is like the hardest and most the thing that should happen first above all other things.
Yes.
So that's hard.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of the
do you have a book?
No, there's a quote from somebody, a famous author that I really love. I'm gonna find it. Beth, can you vamp for me for a moment?
It's another Martha quote, and it's from someone else, but she said something along the lines of like, you know, if you want to, I'm going to get this super wrong, but basically if you want to have a hobby, I'm going to butcher it. Anyways, basically she says like, if you want to have a hobby for the rest of your life, plant a garden. And that's sustained her and has been her inspiration for her life is really just being outside and working in the dirt. And I like that.
Yeah, that's a nice one. I really like it. I can't find a quote, but you're right. Sorry, I'll find it for another week and I'll read it. I just find like, I've been finding these other quotes from people like, I don't know, like Mahatma Gandhi and Maya Angelou, whoever they are. But I'll find the quote that I like and I will share it in a future podcast.
Right.
I'm joking. I know who these people are. But yeah, that was a nice chat. Oh yeah, just before we go, Beth, have there been any like self-help books or things that have resonated with you?
I think I brought it up a few times. I recommend The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. It's easy. It's 4 things that you need to know. And, you know, they're just simple things like, you know, don't assume that people are thinking what they're thinking about you.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other 3 offhand. Haha. Because there's only 4 things to remember. It's so hard. But that's one that I have on my shelf and I go back to it. Also, like, do yoga.
Yeah.
Always.
Absolutely.
Always. Focus on your breath. And it's amazing what comes out from that.
It's true. It took me a while to kind of get to it, but like I read Atomic Habits a few years ago, and I found it spoke to me in terms of how it restructured me thinking about things that I want to do, in a useful way. So that it was something that like
Atomic Habits, is it basically like just form good habits?
It's basically like I mean, like there are like 4 rules. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like basically like ways to make habits sustainable. And it had some good advice about it, I thought, and it worked quite well for me. Okay. Again, maybe not for everyone, but it was one that resonated quite a bit with me, and has definitely helped inform some of the changes I've made in recent years. I think I don't have enough time to do all the habits that I want to do, but it has been very useful in terms of me rethinking that, you know.
I like it.
So yeah. But yeah, is there anything else you want to chat about before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I think we've talked to everyone long enough about how much we hate self-help.
Yeah, we did.
Feel free to agree or disagree. Let us know what you think.
And like, wait for Beth and I's self-help book that's coming out next year.
Never.
No. But yeah. Okay, in that case, I'd like to ask you, Beth, what has been bringing you joy?
Oh my God, I have a good one. So you know that I'm obsessed with the pygmy hippo Mudang.
Yes.
That's in Thailand. So I was at the San Diego Zoo this weekend. They have, and Charlie and I were in the restroom. Harper comes in and she's like, you guys. She's like, Mom, you're going to see something you've always wanted to see your whole life. And I was like, yeah, right. What can you possibly show me that I could possibly be so excited about that, whatever. And then walk into this room and there's 2 fucking pygmy hippos.
Whoa.
Swimming and eating, pooping in the water and swimming through their own poop. And they're...
So they look angry as fuck.
You can tell they both of them, they've got like little like... they've like gashes on the sides of their bodies, so they're totally like toothing each other and being super pissed off. So did you send me Mudang stuffy? Yes. Okay. So it's here. I didn't know if it was you or if it was my other friend who knows of my obsession.
Yes.
It came, and it's like,
you like it?
I love
nice?
it, but Charlie took it from me.
Oh, Charlie.
He's like, Dada, can you stand it? He's like, what? And he's like, look at Mudang's face. How can you stand it? I can't stand it. So I like, it's gone. He's taken this. It's so fucking cute though. So I'll send you.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure, like, because I saw it and I ordered it because I wanted to try to get it in time for your birthday. Yes. And then afterwards, I saw like a plastic figure of Mudang, and I was like, oh, this one looks way angrier and way more like Mudang. Yeah. I kind of wish it went for that, but I quite like the plushie. The plushie, and it is nice.
It's so like. Okay. He said perfect. It's as soft as Momo.
Oh wow! Okay, good.
So thank you.
You're so welcome.
I know. How about you? What's bringing you joy?
So I have, and yes, this will bring you joy, I think, as well. I have started reading A Prayer for Owen Meany.
What do you think?
Really enjoying it so far. Like, so this is by John Irving. Beth and I talked about this. John Irving. We talked about this in our books episode,
which everyone has listened to. It's episode really? I don't remember.
And it's great, and it is like also. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm about 60 pages in, but I find his writing so gripping, and it really kind of pulls me in really quickly. I just a really fantastic writer, I think. But the other kind of turning point it has been for me is because the words are so small, the text is so small. I've ordered my readers.
You and Mike. So, he's like, I think it's time. Yeah. He made an appointment with an eye doctor. Really? He was like, I got to do it, and I tried some, it's gonna change your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried some readers on in the supermarket the other day. I was like, oh shit, okay, this is great. Yeah. So I'm excited to get them. So hopefully this week I'm getting them.
Yeah, good. I have mine. I use them because I'm doing like paint by number painting.
Yeah.
And there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
It's starting to happen too where I'm like moving my computer farther and farther away.
Yeah.
My phone, I think I need to like make the text bigger so I can read texts from the no one that texts me.
Hey, I text you sometimes.
You do. The people I care to respond to. No running. No, I don't have friends. But yeah, I'm proud of you. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I don't have any. I know a lot of people who like had to get glasses or readers and really refused to wear them. I don't give a shit about that. Like, I want something that looks like suits me a little bit, but I don't care about having to wear them at all, or like the embarrassment of that.
Giant red ones that make.
Oh wow! Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to see them. Okay, nice. Look at us going gently into all the.
I know. What is it? Do not go gently into this good
into
night.
The night. Yeah. I love it. All right, folks. Beth, can you tell everybody where they can find us?
You can find us at bendypodcast.com. Also check out our socials that are linked to that, because you might see Andy wearing his Halloween costume.
My Ken costume,
with his blonde wig. So it's worth it. Check us out.
You want to watch the video for this week so you can see my beautiful poncho as well. But yeah. Great stuff, folks. So as always, we'd like to remind you to stay bendy. I stand in. All right, folks.
Yes, next week I might be broadcasting from my new office with my.
La-di-da. All right. We love you, folks. Bye-bye.